Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Week 4 of college football was unbelievable. 6 top 25 teams went down, which means there were tons of shakeups in our brand new GE Top 25 poll heading into Week 5 of the season. And guys, as we always say, this is a poll that has a lot of thought and effort put into it. More effort and thought put into it than the AP, College Football Playoff Committee, and coaches poll combined. A poll that we know is not perfect by any means, but a poll that we look forward to discussing and debating with you, and a poll where we can explain logically why every team is ranked where they are on this list. And that is exactly what we are here to do today. So, of course, guys, welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Thank you so much for joining us. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Help us build our GE Nation, guys. Check out everything down in the description below, too, including those expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country, hitting over 62% of our bets against the spread this year and over 84% of our money line bets as well. So if you want winners, if you want to win some money, become a part of our GE Nation, go sign up for those expert picks again down in the description over on thegridironexpert.com. So let's take a look at our rankings, guys. We'll try to go through them as quick as possible, but again, explaining every single team that is up here. The top 4 for us remains unchanged, and it really should. Georgia, despite struggling a little bit against Kent State, allowing 22 points against the Golden Flashes, winning 39-22, remained the number 1 team in the country. It was not the prettiest of wins. It was kind of shocking that Georgia was so close to Kent State the majority of that game, but still number 1 team in the country, followed by Alabama, who took down Vanderbilt 55-3. Ohio State at 3 took down Wisconsin 52-21. Michigan surviving Maryland 34-27. We know the Terrapins got a late score there to make the score look a little bit better, but the Terrapins putting up a very good fight in the Big House. Certainly a team to be reckoned with in 2022. Do not sleep on Maryland. But Michigan at number 4, those 4 teams have not changed in our rankings. I do not have the ability to justify Ohio State above Alabama quite yet. Both teams won in dominating fashion over a conference opponent. Wisconsin's really not all that good. I just don't see a reason for Ohio State to jump Bama for number 2. All right, Clemson in at number 5. Obviously, they moved up a spot following the loss of Oklahoma to Kansas State. We'll touch on that soon. But Clemson up a spot after defeating Wake Forest on the road in double overtime. A very impressive victory for the Tigers. One that, had they been ranked lower, could have seen them move up a couple more spots other than 1. But Oklahoma, they would have jumped Oklahoma, I'll say that. They would have jumped Oklahoma for their win over Kansas State, but the Sooners lost. So Clemson's up there anyways. So they're at 5. Utah up a spot after their win over Arizona State. Nothing to talk much about there, beating the Sun Devils 34-13. Oklahoma State did not play this week, moving up a spot thanks to the loss of Oklahoma. NC State defeating UConn, moving up a spot as well. Tennessee cracking the top 10, moving up 5 spots in our rankings. We had the Volunteers at 14th last week. They are now in the top 10 following their win over Florida, beating the Gators 38-33, snapping their 5-game losing streak to the Gators. So Tennessee, one of the biggest risers in our rankings this week, coming into the top 10, jumping a couple teams like Baylor, Penn State, Kentucky, guys like that. Tennessee in at 9, Oregon in at 10. Some will say, how is Oregon in at 10? Again, we had the Ducks at 11th last week. Had the Ducks at 11th last week, and they battled back, defeating a good Washington State team in Pullman. A game the Ducks probably should have lost. Showed a lot of resiliency, defense coming up clutch in the final minutes, winning that game 44-41 on the road. Again, right now, I like Oregon above the likes of Baylor, Penn State, Kentucky, USC, guys like that. I don't see any of these teams here in the second column that would be worthy of a top 10 spot right now above Oregon based on our rankings. So Tennessee and Oregon, newcomers into the top 10. Over in the second column, Baylor in at number 11, moving up just 1 spot with their 7-point victory over Iowa State. One that many are calling controversial due to a lot of penalties inflicted on the Cyclones, but a game that Baylor was winning by 17 points in the fourth quarter. So pick your poison. Iowa State fans are obviously not pleased with that. Baylor fans, hey, a win's a win. Big game against Oklahoma State to see if Baylor is the real deal. Oklahoma State and Baylor on Saturday. We have analysis for that coming out later this week. But the Bears in at number 11, up a spot. Penn State moving up 3 spots for us, all the way up to number 12. And obviously that was because of some teams that lost ahead of them, but also because they continue to dominate. Yes, they only played Central Michigan, beat them 33-14, but the Nittany Lions continuing to show they are the real deal. Have a couple tough tests coming up in these future weeks. Northwestern shouldn't be an issue, but Michigan's coming up. Minnesota's coming up. That's where we'll really see what James Franklin's squad is made of. But Penn State in at 12. Kentucky did not move. Kentucky did not move in our rankings, staying put at 13th, defeating Northern Illinois 31-23. Again, I don't think Kentucky is a top 10 team yet. They can prove that to me if they beat Ole Miss on Saturday. But right now, Kentucky has not looked that impressive to me. Their best win, obviously, is Florida. Florida team that, to me, is not really that good. They beat Northern Illinois only by 8. They were tied at 14 with the Huskies at half. I just don't view Kentucky as that knock you dead, grounded out. Do I think Kentucky could beat the majority of the teams ahead of them right now? No, I do not. So I have Kentucky staying put at 13th. Oklahoma dropping 9 spots. We had the Sooners at 5th last week. Lost at home to Kansas State 41-34. Have now dropped 3 of the last 4 to the Wildcats. And the Sooners dropping a pretty decent amount of spots here. 9 spots in our rankings. Still a good team. I think Brent Venables is going to have his squad bounce back. But the game against TCU on the road this Saturday will not be easy. And that could ruin the Sooners' season. We'll drop them out of our top 25 if they lose that game. And would potentially ruin their Big 12 championship hopes as well. So big test for the Sooners coming up. Still very talented offensively, dropping 9. Still like them a bit over their former coach in Lincoln Riley at USC. The Trojans moving up 1 spot, just 1, following their win over Oregon State. Again, for you USC fans out there, I'm sorry. We know you're ranked like 6 in the AP poll and all these other polls like that. Everybody's very high on you, and we think you're very good. But they haven't really beat anybody yet. And USC was very fortunate to survive on the road against Corvallis, scoring a late touchdown with about 1:13 left in the game to pull away. Forced 4 interceptions, getting 10 points off of those, winning by 3 over the Beavers. USC, to me, is not a top 10 team yet. They can prove that in future weeks, especially if they were able to take down a team like Utah later on in October. Washington, also in the Pac-12, moving up 3 spots. We had them at 19th last week, moving up to the top 16 following their dominant victory over Stanford. The Huskies look for real guys. Look at the real deal. Offense is clicking on all cylinders. The defense is electric once again. Kalen DeBoer has done a phenomenal job with Washington so far. They're in the top 16, above Texas A&M, who cracks the top 20 again following their victory over Arkansas, who we had ranked at 10th. So you can see A&M at 17th, Arkansas at 18th. We are honoring a little bit the head-to-head result there. Both have 1 loss. A&M's loss clearly much worse than Arkansas's. Aggies losing to Appalachian State, who just lost to James Madison. Not very good there. Arkansas really beat themselves in the game against Texas A&M. I don't really view it as a victory more for A&M, more than it was A&M was fortunate that Arkansas continued to beat themselves. But you factor in Arkansas's poor performance against Missouri State. You factor in the poor performance against Texas A&M. Arkansas drops to 18th in our rankings. Still a top 20 team in our eyes. Have an opportunity to prove all the doubters wrong, to salvage their season if they can find a way to upset Alabama on Saturday. We'll have more analysis for that game later this week as well. But A&M at 17th following their win, up 5. Arkansas down 8. Pittsburgh down 2 following their win over Rhode Island. And again, a lot of that is due to honestly just the shifts above them. Oklahoma drops a little bit, knocks a couple teams down. Arkansas lost, drops a couple teams down, but Arkansas still, to us, better than Pittsburgh and still worthy of that top 20 spot above Pittsburgh or Minnesota, guys like that. So Pittsburgh, despite the win over Rhode Island, wasn't that impressive. They dropped 2. Minnesota cracks our top 25 for the first time this year, coming in at 20th. Golden Gophers look like the real deal, guys. Beating Michigan State on the road 34-7. The defense is phenomenal. The offense with Muhammad Ibrahim is insane. Minnesota and the PJ Fleck, they are rowing the boat to a Big Ten championship berth. They are the best team in that Big Ten West. They can continue to prove that on Saturday as they take on Purdue. But Minnesota in the top 20, and rightfully so. Final column here. Ole Miss dropping 3 spots. Again, a lot of that due to the shifts with A&M and Arkansas, due to Minnesota coming into the rankings. But also Ole Miss did not look that impressive, only beating Tulsa by 8, 35-27. And yes, we know the Rebels were leading pretty big in that game, but they allowed the Golden Hurricane to come back and make it too close, a little too close for comfort. Ole Miss dropping 3 to 21st. BYU dropping a spot following their win over Wyoming, 38 to 24. Nothing too special there. And again, not to say these were poor performances that forced them to drop. That was a small roll, but obviously the movement of the teams above them. Again, A&M rising up, Arkansas dropping down, Oklahoma dropping down, Minnesota coming in. That affects some of these teams that didn't play anybody or beat anybody. That really boosts their resume. So that's why Ole Miss, BYU, guys like that dropped a little bit. We have 2 newcomers in here, guys. Florida State is the first. Florida State not ranked last week, but now in at 23rd following their big win over Boston College. Mike Norvell has his Seminoles at 4-0. Unbelievable turnaround in Tallahassee. They've got a big game at home this week against Wake Forest, number 24 in our rankings, who narrowly, again, lost to Clemson on the road, or at home, lost to Clemson at home last week, 51-45 in double overtime. So a heartbreaking loss for the Demon Deacons, but still to me a top 25 team, barely hanging on to that spot. Really, Florida State and Wake Forest, it's big for the standing, sure, but it also, the winner stays in the top 25, the loser falls out. So a lot of it at stake on Saturday. And then finally, no other poll's going to do it, but we've got Kansas in our top 25. How about that? The Jayhawks ranked for the first time since 2009, 4-0, just beat an undefeated Duke team, 35-27. They defeated West Virginia. They blew out Houston. They beat Duke. They've got 3 quality wins over a good group of 5 school, a conference opponent, and an undefeated non-conference opponent. Rank the Jayhawks. We're going to do it. Kansas in our top 25 at 4-0, have a chance to move to 5-0 with a home game against Iowa State on Saturday. The Jayhawks have taken the nation by storm. They deserve to be in the top 25, and they can continue to rise in those rankings if they continue to win behind an amazing offensive turnaround and just turnaround as a whole by Lance Leipold in Lawrence. So give me the Jayhawks in at 25. In above, our first 3 out, Kansas State following their win over Oklahoma. Shouldn't have lost to Tulane. Big win for the Wildcats, but the loss of Tulane hindering them just a little bit. Kansas State, Cincinnati, and Syracuse. Those are the 3 teams that just missed out on our top 25. But we're ranking the Jayhawks, the nation's darling so far this year. The Cinderella story. Let's see if they can keep up the success in Week 5. So there you have it, guys. The GE Top 25 heading into Week 5 of the season. We're ready to hear from you. Give us your rankings. Let us know what you think. Let's discuss. Let's comment. Let's debate. And let's get ready for another big week of college football because predictions are on the way right here on the Gridiron Expert. So again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe. Check out everything down in the description below, including those expert picks. Again, some of the best picks in the entire country for one of the lowest prices in the entire country. We want you to become a part of our GE Nation. We want you to win. So go sign up today. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.